Hey, we're hiding our phones and we're rocking and rolling.
There you go. There you go.
Welcome to the Fishing Guide Podcast. We're here with Greg Robinson. Tell you what, we've done this already once, and the machine ate our homework.
There you go.
So we're back. We're rolling again, but we're talking about installs. We're talking about electronics, and super exciting. I know some of the topics that we're working on are stuff that people are actually calling you and talking to you about. So we thought we'd get you on the show and get you to answer some questions.
Yeah,
so,
phone ran off the wall 3 weeks before Black Friday. I mean, literally, I had numerous of calls of talking about the electronics, and as far as some were Garmin, some were Lowrance, some were, and that sort of thing. So anytime you just have a question, feel free to call.
Yeah, Black Friday is a crazy time for electronics. The pricing's so great. I always tell people, wait till Black Friday. Go buy yourself your electronics for the year because you're going to get your best prices in there. So
this year they put 10s and 12s on sale.
Yeah, 10s, 12s.
Usually it's just like 9s and some of the smaller stuff.
Which is good for you installers.
Yes, sir.
Right? So good. Greg, besides being a crappie fishing guide, he's also an electronic installer. He also happens to be an authorized Trophy Graph Systems dealer. So that's electronic mounts. We'll get into that. Tell us about Black Friday. Tell us, what was everyone buying, and what did you recommend for people to buy?
Well, a lot of people was calling, and they was asking questions of what they need and stuff. And of course, we've talked about how they fish and that sort of thing, and what they were fishing for, and wasn't just Garmin on sale. I mean, Lowrance had some good pricing as well.
Right.
And so anyway, the biggest thing on what people don't realize is the smaller units only have one network port on them,
right,
instead of two. And so they're wanting to buy 2 9s and put live scope in it and network them together. Well, we can do that, but we got to buy a port expander box and 2 more network cords to make that happen. So with that being said, they're like, another $400. I said the minimum. And so anyway, so if you step up into the 10s and 12s, then you have 2 ports. So it's not a problem. And so a lot of people bought, in fact, I had people call me and say, hey, I bought a 10, but I think I'm going to take it back and get a 12. So
yeah,
there's a lot of that happened over this deal since Black Friday.
And people get new boats this time of year. Is that another thing that starts happening at the start of the year when you start getting into February? You get some boat shows.
Yes, sir. Usually it's right around. Usually it gets the heaviest as far as calls and work is around tax time.
I gotcha.
Because your income tax. People, so in other words, they've spent their money for Christmas.
Right.
And then what little tax return you get, which this year is going to be, I think, a little bit worse on the return. But they get the return, or they come up with extra money because they didn't spend as much for Christmas or whatever. And they go crazy on electronics. It don't matter whether they're on sale or not. So, yeah, after tax time, we get busy.
So it's probably the only thing Greg doesn't do is taxes, but
I don't want no part of it.
That's interesting. So, how does that all work? How do they get in contact with you? I mean,
contact me through Facebook or message me. Or you can contact me 479-601-1683, and you can text or call. And a lot of times when people are texting me, and I wind up telling them to call me, because you can just explain yourself better by phone than through text. And it takes too long to type everything out when you're slow and old like I am.
You're at our age, and if you text more than 3 times, you burned a half hour. Come on, dudes, just call me.
Just
5-minute conversation.
We'll get it out on the table. But no, with I just got done doing an install. The guy, he purchased 9s. I just actually put that stuff on a Hydrosport.
Oh, really?
That's how old the boat is.
Yeah.
and a nice clean boat. And anyway, we got him rigged up, and he was trying to figure out what kind of bracket he wanted it on. And I told him, I said, well, you just need to put it on this trophy graph system bracket, single bridge. Right. No, I don't need nothing that big and blah, blah, blah. Well, we wound up putting it on there. So once we finally got through to him that it did. I mean, I'm not telling you have to buy our product or the product from me, but in most cases I have been involved in enough installation situations. And what you're getting into in his boat, it's an older boat. Right. Like I said, it's a hider sport.
Narrow front.
And the narrow front, but not only narrow front, those decks there's no recessed foot trays on the troll motors or anything like that. So everything's sitting up here. And the more you put up there, the lesser it's harder to get in and out. And when you're at the driver's seat, you can't see. Right. So a lot of people don't take that in perspective as well. So, I mean, there's a tremendous amount of different companies that makes mounts, but there's a time and a place for each one of them,
right?
And that works better for the other one.
So they have a bunch of different ones. What do they have? Single mounts and dual mounts. What else do they have?
On trophy graph systems, they have a pedestal mount that works. They're redamping it. They're working on redoing that. It's a good bracket. Then they have the dual. The most popular is the dual, and the good thing about the dual is we can get a plate, a double mount plate,
right?
And we can put on there, and we can put 3 gaffs on that.
Oh yeah, they're gimbal mount.
Yes,
that runs.
Yeah,
across.
We can put. You can actually put 2 12s side by side and put a 12 on the front of that bracket. And what's good about their double mount is the front one is offset just a little bit because you're bringing your trolling motor up and down. There's a tremendous amount of people that has the Ultrex, Minnesota Ultrex, and then the Lowrance Ghost. And you got that wire, the cable, and it comes through. And so some of these systems that you have to move the whole thing over and get it all a little bit off center because so you have room. Otherwise, you're having to reach up and get your cables.
Right.
And
sounds like you're picking on me because I have a Lowrance Ghost. I mean, I'll just call you out right there.
There you go. And they're good troll motors. I mean, they're very quiet.
But because of the cabling,
but because of that
how they're
heavy
manufactured,
cord, they got a. I mean, more so, I think. I mean, Ultrex is cable. I mean, it's still cable. It's not.
Wow.
Yours is power. I mean, that big old cable that runs through there on that Ghost, that's more power issue than anything.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, it offsets and allows us to do. And then they have a bracket that you can put on the console that you can bolt to the console. So it bolts in here, and then you can mount your graph on top. So your gimbal bracket is sitting straight up and down instead of sitting here at you, like a lot of those are. They'll fix it in your gimbal bracket is either leaning towards you or straight out at you. So, and this would be standing straight up, and you can also put the double on that as well.
Yep. Brendan Threadgill's coming. He's all decked out.
Yeah,
he's one of those trophy graph
he's got
pros.
He's got his all.
He got all like that.
Pretty good. I installed one this last summer for a guy over in Siloam Springs. He bought Art Defoe's.
Really, his boat, his Nitro, huh?
He bought it, and we put a Garmin on him, but he also had 2 12-inch Hummingbirds, and we did the double graph system with the 3.
Oh, nice!
It worked out real well. It worked out. So.
What's the biggest issue you have? Is it wiring that you have to redo because the older boats or boats that are insufficient?
And also it's not all just a heavy enough wire. Nowadays they got so much stuff on their dash already
Right.
And so you're trying to go through their wiring, even if it's a little bit more beefed up than some of the older ones. You'll have a voltage droppage going through all the stuff.
Right.
You might even see your graph go off when you start the motor or turn something else on, aerator or something like that. So I run 8-gauge wire.
Gotcha.
To the, especially to the front, to the like your electronics in the you'll have your Garmin, say for example. Well, we did yours that way. You got 2 lower ants up front, and your active target, and all that comes off of coming from the battery. So we put it on 8-gauge wire with a 30-amp breaker to back. Yep. So when you're charging, you can trip that breaker, and you don't have to worry about any surges or anything going to burn up.
That's right.
These expensive units.
Yep. So tell them a little bit. How do you do that? Do you show up to their house, or they bring the boat over to you?
For the most part, I'm kind of mobile. I do a lot of it, especially this time of year. It's cold and wet, and they're in the garage. And if we have to do it at my house, we might be outside. So, a lot of times
still covered.
Yeah.
It's just not heated.
Exactly. So, a lot of times I do go to the other people's houses to do that. I do a few on docks. I try to stay away from doing them on water. Right. There's just too many things can happen. And
I got you.
And that sort of thing, as far as dropping tools and boat, you get one boat, and that's it. And so if it goes down, it goes down.
Yep. So, how about batteries? What's the situation on lithium batteries? Do you have any contacts or?
Yeah, I've in the past I've used and recommended MTEX, and I do David with Shut Up and Fish. Right. He has a 100 amp hour battery, period. And that's all it is. But it's worth the money. I think they're $550. Right. Regular price. If you give them my name as a referral, you'll just pay shipping only. And that's all you'll pay, $35. Right. So you can get that battery for like a $185 delivered to your front door. Weighs 22 pounds.
Wow. 22 pounds. How big is it?
They're in a lot. It's about the size of a group 24. I think it's like 10 by 6 by 9. I mean, literally, it's small. It's little. And you can actually put 2 of those for one group 31 setting. Wow. It is really sweet.
Does he have a charger that goes with it? Does he have to have a different charger? You can
get the charger through him. Yeah. NOCO. We recommend NOCO chargers. Yep. But usually, if you order a NOCO from him, it will come straight from the NOCO warehouse. Instead of him trying to ship it to you, he just ships it straight from NOCO.
Gotcha.
So that it'll come out straight from them. But he also sells the electronics as far as Garmin, Humminbird, Lowrance, Troll Motors. He has it all. So
where's he out of?
He's out of Texas.
Out of Texas.
And his website is shutupandfish.com.
Okay, that's easy enough.
It's not it's An, A-I-A-N.
Okay.
Shut Up and Fish.
Well, that'll help. That takes us to Tackle Time. Tackle Time sponsored by PICO Lures. PICO Lures has a complete line of hard and soft baits that catch all game fish that are out there. Everything that's swimming, from walleye to crappie to spotted bass to stripers, white bass, largemouth, smallmouth. Did I miss something? Bluegill. Yeah, you can catch bluegills on them. You use little crappie jigs and put some
on crankbaits.
Take some of that slab sauce that he sells and put that on there with the new applicator pin, which is the greatest thing in the world because it doesn't get all over your boat. But you can check all that stuff out on PICOLures.com. Greg, if they wanted to find out more about your electronics, where would they go? Installation.
Greg, you can go on my Greg Guide Service page on Facebook or Greg Robinson, or you can call me at 479-601-1683.
And you also guide.
Mm-hmm.
So you guide for what?
Crappie.
All right.
Crappie only.
Year round?
Year round.
All right. So they can check that out too.
We're ready to go. Let's go.
You're ready. Let me check.
Buddy,
you won't be fishing out.
Okay.
You won't be fishing out my back door quite yet until this muddy white river cleans up a little bit. But once it does, then everything will be good. But that's all good. So
frigid temperatures this next week.
Yeah, it's gonna be cold. So just got to go out there and fish. Man up.
It's hot.
Too old for that. Anyway, make sure
it's 32 above.
32 above. He's got a limit. So make sure you check him out. And if you have some install questions or anything like that, give him a call.
Sure.
He can help you out. He can get you going. He can help you out and do that. So like I always like to end the show, make sure you keep your hook sharp and your lures in the water.